It's the 1990s. The United States is seeing a lot of economic growth. For most of that decade, William Jefferson Clinton is the President of the United States. And we see economic prosperity unlike anything we'd ever seen in a while in the United States. If you watch the original Wall Street film in the 1980s with Michael Douglas and how greed was good, those last 2 decades in America saw a lot of representation of greed and extravagance, huge super malls. The mythical character Gordon Gekko, greed is good. The 80s and the 90s saw prosperity for certain people. That's undeniable. But there are people who did not quite prosper in that time frame, and that's any nation. There will be haves and have-nots everywhere you go. So though I didn't put him up, I'm going to shout this out to Diamond Dave. And although some people may have their misgivings about him, everybody don't have to like everybody. He touched on this subject. Okay. Woman in Detroit's a single mother. She has a decent paying job that's considered not poverty line wages, and she makes a decent amount of money, but she can't get help with her children. Detroit is by the Great Lakes, and if you know anything about that general area, okay, up in there, gets pretty cold, okay? So some relatives had decided they could not help her or the grandmother, and so the grandmother, and her children, I think there's about 4 or 5, all get into a van. In the meantime, they go looking for services, and according to that family, could not get a hold of anyone. Although I need to tell the truth, according to the USA Today article I read, a shelter reached out and never heard from the family again. So they go and park in a casino parking lot, keep the van running to keep the heat up. At some point, the heat drops and it's 11 degrees below. Next thing the mother knows, 2 of her children are unresponsive and breathing, and really all of the children run into some issues. They're all taken to the hospital where 2 of the children passed away. And a funeral home in the area, by the time you all get this recording, have covered the expenses of the 9-year-old and the 2-year-old. Disparaging things are coming out about both the mother and the father. So I'm not going to get into that. I am a proponent that children should grow up in healthy 2-parent homes, but I'm not going to touch on that today. See, here's the thing, the lie we tell ourselves, regardless of race, because I can believe this also happened to other children around the country, but this is one of the more severe cases. You see, children are collateral damage of their families, of their parents, of educational and social systems that don't really care about them. They care about putting up the act of caring, but they really don't. And so while adults sit around and go at each other and have no resources, or have resources but don't care to give out so many of them, these children suffer. I brought up Bill Clinton in the 1990s because the people who run these social and educational systems that you think care about you put into place plans that will be executed starting 20 plus years from now. Remember, it was the Clinton administration that warned people that welfare was going to be cut back. But because people were seeing fatter checks and having more children, they did not believe it. Now you live in an era where people are actually enacting on that. So if you're old enough to understand, Bill Clinton gave this warning back in the 1990s during the time of prosperity. But see, when things don't happen right away, you don't believe it. These warning shots were showing themselves for a while, and you all chose to brush it off because people get comfortable with something being given to them that less than 200 years ago in this country didn't exist. See, this is why during the start of the Industrial Revolution, or what we call the Gilded Age in the United States, plants had no qualms about bringing in whole families to work, even little children, which prompted child labor laws. The comfortable programs and reforms you have come accustomed to are fairly new and recent in American history. We can hardly blame whatever's currently going on because, again, Clinton told you in the 1990s these programs were going away. And yet the message got missed and got thrown under the rug for a lot of people. You see, there's going to come a time in a couple of weeks, because I didn't take my hiatus, that I am going to take a hiatus. Because though I just turned 45, married, and I have no children, this story scared me. Because anybody listening knows, regardless of your skin color, this could have been any of us in below freezing temperatures, with nowhere else to go, knowing that our family doesn't care. And look, I'm not condemning the relatives that turned her away, because all of this stuff can have backstory that either we're never going to know the full truth or it'll come out in time. I'm not going to go into the fact that black children grow up and join the military or go to the Job Corps or anything that gets them out of their home, because they know that their family units don't care about them. There are two things I want to touch on right now that are important and central to what's going on in our community. First, let's talk about economics. See, Diamond Dave hit on this, and he had an excellent point where they're telling you that black women are on the rise, and they sell you this gimmick of black girl magic and us having each other's backs. See, people are telling you that, and I put this chart up because this could be evidence of it. I got the charts from Black Demographics, and FYI, I have a paid subscription with Black Demographics. This chart says one thing, right? Most of the time, if you go look at the government stats and all of the other stats, the numbers aren't adding up to this black female empowerment people are discussing. Because this lady got, and her mother, who's the grandmother, got evicted from their apartment. And it's rumored she makes $50,000 a year. Did she not get the financial literacy she deserves? Because let's be honest, that K-12 pipeline is made to dumb you down, not teach you anything. That's my opinion. If you learn something K-12, let me know. Because I can tell you now, I didn't get extremely educated and learn until I grew up and realized what I wasn't told, particularly about economics and finance. Now, we'll go to this second chart. I'm going to be honest with you, based on my research of these numbers. The future stacks well for the black man and not the black woman. And why is that? See, it's bothersome to me in things like sales that 71% of us occupy that. I won't say us. I've been in sales at some point, but I'm not now. I'm going to pause on this list and I'm going to have a quick moment of silence in hopes that you can tell me before I tell you why black men dominate based on this list in the future and women don't. Momentary pause. In the spots where black men dominate, and I've said this again in my gloom and doom video I created for 2024, because again, most black people come on YouTube to be entertained. You're not trying to learn anything, and I can understand if I'm going to lose some subs. You see, black men are moving closer and closer and have been for a while to the occupations that artificial intelligence cannot replace. Even if you look at this chart, the arts. On the surface, you'd be like, well, what do you mean by arts? Is that entertainment? Is that painting? Is that clothing? Yes, and let me tell you why. As this country continues to get expensive, my prediction from an art standpoint is that people are going to want more one-of-a-kind, handmade, can last a while pieces, not something that was manufactured and can quickly be thrown into a landfill. They're going to want custom paintings. They're going to want homemade candles and soap, which I'm working on soap. They're going to want to go back to a time when craftsmanship and the dedication of craftsmanship means something. And that doesn't mean that black women don't create things. Don't take it like I said that, because I patronize black-owned businesses of black women. But I have to give a disclaimer. The color of your skin doesn't necessarily equal my patronage, although I do patronize quite a bit of black-owned businesses. I've got artisan things from black women, so don't come at me with that. You need to look at these stats and see what artificial intelligence cannot replace and start steering yourself in that direction right now. And you would say, well, what does this have to do with the children who were hurt in Detroit? She had a good paying job. She had this, she had that. Where was she living in Detroit? Was she trying to keep up an apartment that doesn't fit her yearly salary? Did she visit food banks and thrift stores as a way to cut back? Here's the thing. I can't perpetuate that this man was not a good father because we don't know the whole story. Nor can I perpetuate that she was a good mother and did the best that she could. Because stuff is coming out on both sides that is bad and good. But the human condition is nuanced. It's just my personal opinion that if you're struggling with one child, why would you keep having them? And again, this is not a condemnation of her. For those of you who have children still alive, and you reasonably know what she's going through, it can become you soon. Get to know your local food banks and where you can get free meals and shelter. Because we can sit here and talk bad about single mothers. The children are already here. They are the collateral damage of decisions that they did not make. And it starts in every community, but particularly the FBA and ADOS community. It starts with economics. The second and last thing I want to talk about is networking. Did this mother ever go to any groups or get with any collaborative groups where she could network to see how she can raise her salary? Because according to the chart I'd already shown you all, She's in healthcare, and healthcare is gonna rise. She's on the right track. So I can't be mad because in accordance with that chart, that's the one area that black women are looking to, they're moving. I don't want a robot sticking a needle in me. That's just me. So I don't think artificial intelligence is going to replace that. If I have to go into surgery, I highly doubt that a robot's going to do that. But if you all can, go find, who talk about black economics, Dr. George Fraser, and how economics is tied to a lack of networking. Why do you think you see videos with me in the community talking to everyone regardless of race? The way things are going in this country, networking equals community. Because when I read into this story, I see a woman who tried to be strong and suffer in silence. And my condolences to her entire family. She lost 2 children as a result. If she had some type of network or made the effort to make some type of networking, could those children have been alive? We don't know. But you have to make the effort. Don't wait for the train to derail, okay? See, Dr. George Fraser has all of these videos about networking. Because your strength is in numbers. People talk about this lone wolf stuff. That's cute in theory, but in reality, wolves roll in packs and have huge family dynamic. They are one of the most family orientated animals in the animal kingdom. And there's a hierarchy to that family. Watch when you see packs of wolves move together with the older wolves, the young one, the lone wolf who sticks to the back and protects the whole tribe. The mamas and the babies who are cloistered together so no one can get to the babies. See, that's why I brought up and made up videos about wolves. We can learn a lot about a wolf's mentality if we learn how to harness that. But I strongly believe had she had some form of network, even one in place, someone could have helped her. Because let's be honest about the black community. Some of your own relatives, and again, I'm not judging these people. They are the first person who will turn you from the door. And the sad part is there are times when they'll pretend to care about you, but when the going gets tough, they're the first ones to leave you hanging. And I hate to say this. We know about the mass evictions and a huge chunk of black single mothers being a part of that. Is it any way for y'all to get together, collaborate, and find similar women so that you can all get one big house and collaborate? Can y'all do something? Because doing nothing and hoping that a system that's starting to collapse and fail everyone is not helping you. Very few people listening to this can disagree that these children are the collateral damage of decisions of adults all around them who all failed them. Analyze your economic opportunities. See who you can network with, even if it's virtual networking online. Find a way. Fight for the way. Because at the end of the day, if you don't think you deserve it, your innocent children who could become collateral damage do deserve it.